Do you think that this is the next fashion that churches are going to be mixing their broadcast? Apple just released a big update to their iPad Pros and iPad Airs with the M chips, where you can run Logic Pro right from your iPad. Have you heard of this Sweetwater gear exchange?
I have not.
Okay, so Sweetwater Gear Exchange, I think, gonna compete with places like Church Gear.
There is a massive new Digico console that is now out.
Do you think that this is the next fashion that churches are gonna be mixing their broadcast? Apple just released a big update to their iPad Pros and iPad Airs with the M chips, where you can run Logic Pro right from your iPad. So, Jake, I'd love to hear your thoughts about running Logic Pro, plugins, channel processing. Could we run broadcast mixing with this in our local churches?
Yeah, I think it's an enticing option. I wouldn't say everybody just go jump on this and make it your thing, but I would, if you have an iPad on hand, if you don't mind signing up for the subscription, I would love to see you guys start experimenting with this and then let us know what you think, because the idea is, how would you go about just sending multi-track audio from your mixing console into an iPad, and then you'd be able to just mix a multi-track session in there. You could have a completely separate mix than what's happening at your digital mixing console. I bet plugin availability is going to be limited, because one of the nice things about mixing in a box is all third-party plugins like Slate drum triggers and using Wave plugins and things like that. So I'm pretty sure I'm not seeing anywhere that they have a ton of third-party integrations yet, because it's going to take a lot of those companies' time to get there. But when I'm looking at this, I mean, you can still create a great mix in Logic just with the built-in plugins that it has. It's got all your EQs, compressions, like limiters, like all the basic stock ones. This view right here, like, this is enticing to me when I think about mixing in a broadcast environment for worship. I think this should actually be the thumbnail for this video today.
Yeah.
So we'll put this and superimpose it or something on a worship or something in the background. But that's a cool, enticing thing for me right here. So then I'm like, okay, practically you got to think through, how are you sending the audio, multi-track audio to Logic? How are you getting your mix back to your video switcher or wherever it needs to go? And then how are you also monitoring this mix as well?
Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with some of the options when it comes to an iPad of managing like audio interfaces and such. I've used it for like simple things like tracks playback or keyboard playback from an iPad using Sunday Keys or the playback app. But yeah, I've never done multi-track recording on an iPad before.
Right.
But
I mean, you're
cool.
talking, if you don't have an iPad, your entry level for an iPad Air at a base model, which you can run this software on, is $599 before tax. And so then you include the subscription of $50 a year, $5 a month. And I guess my follow-up question is, you buy an iPad for like mobility's sake. And so, to be able to like run and gun with it or move around. And I feel like if you're mixing a separate broadcast mix, are you mobile? Or, I mean, you're not gonna be like sitting in the pews mixing your broadcast, right? Like you would be front of house with an iPad app for your X32. But I guess I would be enticed by the multi-touch, engagement, being able to reach down, grab faders, things like that's very enticing. But besides that, I'm trying to think through, because you're looking at $600 before you include docks and interfaces and things like that to get your broadcast audio in there. And so you might already be at like $1,000. And at that point, to run a Logic software, you're talking about, man, wouldn't it just be worth it to run it on a desktop or on a laptop, a notebook, an M1 MacBook Air or something of that nature. So I'm not sure what the prices look like when it comes to that.
Yeah, and I would get, if I were using like an X32 or a Wing, and if I'm going to try this, I'll probably try this in a few weeks when I get back to Colorado. We have this converter there. This is how we're currently actually sending audio from the Wing to our Mac Mini, AES50 to USB converter, and it's, you could do Dante, but Dante still doesn't work on iOS, to my knowledge. I don't think there's been any updates there. So I wonder if you could plug this in to your iPad and just, it basically functions like a USB interface, because I know it does when you plug it into a Mac Mini.
Yeah.
And then from there, you could have some options of sending your main left-right mix back over the AES50 back to your mixing console, or you could output, some other way to your video switcher. There's just a lot of pretty cool options that you could do there. But that's probably how I would try to set it up. I mean, of course, you could just like plug USB of your iPad into your X32 directly and still have USB audio that way as well. But it's more enticing if you can get your broadcast mix out of your tech booth. That could definitely help.
Yep.
With mixing. So there's all these variables. To me, the really compact form factor with the multi-touch interface, there's no better multi-touch interface than an iPad. Right? Like, this is Apple beats all other tablets and when it comes to that experience. And you have all that horsepower within this tiny little device. I bet it won't have a problem doing a broadcast mix.
Yeah.
Especially with stock plugins.
The other thing that I saw, that if people are like, well, I don't want to subscribe to it, one of the things I saw on because if you were paying attention, they also released Final Cut for the iPad. And one of the things I heard somebody say was, if you're mad about the subscription, you've got to keep in mind that they have added these libraries. And so they have Logic Pro has always had a sound library, like you can, play instruments and things like that, and you can load in these samples. But on Final Cut, they're adding this library of kind of almost like an Epidemic sound. You've got like royalty-free music that you can incorporate into your videos. I would imagine it's about the same in Logic Pro. I'm seeing images of it. I'm guesstimating a little bit here, but that would be, if you're already paying a monthly, fee for royalty-free music in your broadcast pre and post service, this might, the $4.99 might cover that in a way that allows you some more flexibility too, built right into the iPad. You don't even have to worry about pulling in outside sounds. So definitely could be a cool, and I don't think that expensive, $50 a year, man. That's not that bad and it's going to keep getting developed. Subscription means that they're pouring, time and manpower and R&D into this. So I think it's only going to get better and more capable as time goes on.
Ableton Link. So you can actually sync things to Ableton.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Of course, you can pick a project up on your laptop. So you guys could go read more about it. I just think it's going to be another great tool for any music creative out there. Up next, Luke, have you ever tried to just figure out what's some good house music to play, pre-service, post-service? Because I have been in that situation multiple times. I usually have my go-to places. I came across kind of a new option here. It's called Church Lobby, where an individual, they reached out to me on Instagram. They're like, hey, I made some Church Lobby house music because there wasn't really good options out there. I was just trying to find something that wasn't too distracting for people, but kind of just a good vibe. So all the Gen Zers could be vibing, when they come and hang out and say, oh man, that music's bussin'.
Yeah.
So anyways, this Church Lobby, look it up on Spotify. I am a bigger fan though of going the route of Epidemic Sound, which is right here. And then, so Epidemic Sound, we use this for pretty much all of our Churchfront YouTube videos. So if you guys want to know where that comes from, it's here. And my preference is to sign up for Epidemic Sound. It's like $10 a month for your church or something like that, $20, and download the tracks. They're all like instrumental. There's different styles to pick from, and the one downside is we don't have like instrumental worship music. That would be nice to have.
Yeah.
But from a licensing standpoint, you can pipe this music through your live stream. You're not going to have any issues. Musicbed's another option. What's nice about it is I do believe they have Hillsong, or maybe they had Bethel artists at one point. Maybe they don't. Oh yeah, Bethel Music. So they have some music like this where you can go to a song like, let's say, Tend by Bethel Music, and then you can get the instrumental version of it.
Nice.
And that's kind of cool
Yeah.
because it's actually, you know, worship music, and you can put the instrumental in the background. So anyways, that just kind of made me think of this. It's definitely like one of those little things that you don't really think of until someone scrambles between service to be like, oh no, we need to like open Spotify, and then you're cheap and you don't have like a paid Spotify account, so then ads start popping up, you know, during your pre-service playlist. Please do not do that. I think there's also like a Spotify business thing you can look into as well. Make sure if you're streaming music, you're just doing it legally.
Yeah.
These artists do need to eat. So
Yeah,
make sure you're just getting those paid.
the battle for me is always that I feel like anything that I find that's like house music, it feels like trap music. Like it's got almost like you're at a club or, you know, a rave.
Yeah.
And so it's like night. It's kind of vibey, but like for a church lobby, it feels kind of clubbish. And it's so I love that this guy has started this playlist because it's a little bit more mellow.
It still sounds, and it still sounds like some of that can get a little bit of like clubby, because that's just the nature of the genre, right? But even just like having some, you know, to me, I actually like the Musicbed. I feel like I should probably use more of their stuff for our church. But then again, the pricing and stuff, it gets a little up there. If you actually were a business and you were just a nonprofit, actually, it's probably not bad. Small nonprofit for, let's say, broadcast, continue. Okay, they don't really have. Oh, there's a subscription option. Business, nonprofit, small, web, social. Let's just say that. So, $79 a month for, you know, 12 installments, annual commitment. That's pretty pricey, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is unfortunately for the good music, you need to pay more.
Yeah.
Because we need to support Brian Johnson and the team. So
that's right. That's right.
That's all I have on that. What do you got next?
Nice. Hey, have you seen? I saw this pop up in an email. Have you heard of this Sweetwater Gear Exchange?
I have not.
Okay, so Sweetwater Gear Exchange is, I think, gonna compete with places like Church Gear. So this is the process for them, and they've got. I think this is pretty enticing for maybe a lot of churches, but essentially the process is like you can snap a picture and you upload it to this portal, and you're selling your item, and obviously you want it to be nice and clean, and then you make the sale. They send you all the shipping stuff, and essentially they take care of fulfillment, and then you can either keep 100% of the earnings with a gift card to Sweetwater, or they can pay it out with kind of the seller fee and a transaction fee. But
oh wow,
I thought, like,
that's
man,
clever. If oh my gosh, so they're
if you're looking for new gear and you're looking to sell it, I mean, if you're gonna buy from Sweetwater already, or if you're considering buying from Sweetwater, this is not a bad situation. And assuming you're a decent photographer, your gear is in good shape, I mean, you could really make a decent listing, and then you really don't have. I mean, you have to take care of fulfillment and shipping it to them, but you're not like handling the listing on your own. It's listed by Sweetwater. So now you can shop used gear and, you know, find stuff like that. So kind of cool.
Yeah. So then, okay, you can ship it from your place to you're not shipping it to Sweetwater though, right? They're acting as the marketplace.
Right. Right.
And it's almost, they're almost like a reverb.com at this point. That's kind of what their main competition, I guess, would be there. But then they built a similar thing to Reverb, but then they're like, hey, like, you can get more money if you essentially use what you just made at our store.
Yeah.
Which is pretty brilliant, actually.
Yeah, not too shabby. But, and I think the benefit there is just that they have a huge, I mean, their inventory and their website is so popular and people are already shopping there. So I think if they start to see like a used X32 or a used, you know, microphone, I think people will be enticed because they're already shopping on that site for new gear, and then they might see a better option, kind of like Amazon does when you shop on Amazon and it says like 11 new or used, you know, items you can buy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think people are already there, so kind of a cool idea.
Yep.
Before we continue on with the video, a quick word from our sponsor, the Worship Ministry School Accelerator Program. You may not know this, but in addition to all the YouTube content we're creating here at Churchfront, we also partner with local church worship and production ministries to help them hit their ministry goals. Over the past 4 years, we've worked personally with hundreds of worship ministries around the globe. We've helped churches navigate upgrading their worship tech, building better systems to grow their team of volunteers, as well as address any knowledge or skill gaps required for modern day worship ministry. When you join the Accelerator program, you get access to our entire library of online, on-demand courses, and you get unlimited access to our team of Churchfront coaches. To learn more about joining the program, click the link below this video to apply and schedule your free strategy session today. Now let's get back to the video.
I came across an interesting book. I need to just go ahead and order a copy. It's called Analog Church: Why We Need Real People, Places, and Things in the Digital Age. Sounds like a good read. I don't really know much about J. Kim or the author, but I know some of the people that leave reviews here. They're pretty intelligent people. But this is not my endorsement of the book. It's just like, hey, this is an interesting book. Someone shared it in a group the other day, and I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like one of those things where the title is like pretty, I don't feel like I read the whole book. Like, I don't know, not I read it, but to me, even being kind of the tech guy, I like digital things. So much of my happiness in life comes from non-digital things or analog things, right? Just getting away from screens, getting outside, going on walks, getting out in nature, go surfing, go hiking. And then with Church World, I like to go to church in person with real people every single Sunday.
Yep.
Personally, to me, I don't understand people who are like, I can just like stream church, every other week and not go or whatever. To me, they're just like missing out. It's like, okay, you are selecting a subpar experience. And then when you think about the nature of church, like in the worship service, do we have to be all completely digitized all the time in our worship space, in the AVL that we're using? I was joking the other day about the stained glass that we have in the church that I'm at Rock Harbor, and I'm like, hey guys, like I know LED walls are cool, but have you ever heard of stained glass? It's like it's got a subatomic pixel pitch, and it requires zero energy because it's fully solar powered, and it just looks cool. It's like it's because it's a similar idea. Like LED walls are modern day stained glass, but it's an analog version of it, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I personally, that's why I like more liturgical services. I like some traditional spaces. To me, I kind of like the blend of both the modern tech and the traditional stuff. But this book, I'll probably check it out because I'm sure it goes beyond just the worship side of things. Even like your own personal devotion of like, I enjoy reading my paper Bible way more than I enjoy using YouVersion. YouVersion's convenient when I don't have a paper Bible, but there's kind of been a hype train. I think bigger picture, the hype train of digital life, I feel like for millennials especially, we are going to be like, we have a little bit more perspective on how destructive or the downsides of digital life can be, so that moving forward we're like, no, we don't really need everything digital. Like, let's kind of find a happy balance.
I'm interested to see with this book, one, it's part of, I think he's written a couple other books based on that page with the analog theme. So if you scroll down, you'll see he's got like, I think he wrote, or maybe he's a part of a series that other people wrote. I think it was down towards the bottom, but I think he has other analog books, and right there. So he's got analog Christian. I think there's some other ones, but he published this in 2020. So March of 2020 was
that was good
literally
timing.
Right during the pandemic, and so I'm wondering if now there's some datedness to it, but I still think the perspective could be really, really cool.
Maybe he'll come on the podcast. You should reach out to him.
Definitely,
it'd be interesting.
Definitely. It's a great find. in light of that, I found, I don't know if you guys are music listeners. I know sometimes as worship and tech leaders in the church, we can get kind of burned out and we don't necessarily like listen to a bunch of Christian music all the time. But I saw this pop up on my kind of recommended for you in Apple Music, and have just been really kind of obsessed with this new album from Elevation Rhythm. And this is Elevation Rhythm's new project. And so I've been listening to it, and then I started checking out the videos that are kind of corresponding with the albums. And I noticed that almost every video and every video a part of this project is in this like very, I don't know, it's the whole circle idea, massive key light above, or massive fill light above the whole crew singing and stuff. But I mean, if you notice, there's like there's no color, there's no RGB, even this LED wall behind them is just a white background with black text. And so I found it really interesting that like this whole crew and this whole project and in the live recording, or at least a music video piece, that they kind of followed the Carrie Job lighting theme that we talked about with Chase Lights, but even drew it more back and sucked all color out of it. So it's really just this, white kind of.
They probably used Chase to do the design.
Right. I thought it was a cool idea though. I mean, it was kind of, I don't know, somebody was asking me what to do with their lighting the other day, and I thought, I don't know that you need, colored house lights and stuff. I mean, I think people are, in some ways, I think there's maybe a section of the church that's reverting back to more of just like, let's gather. We talked about this with the Upper Room, broadcast the other day, where their room is like not hardly lit at all. They've got house lights, but nothing more crazy than that. So I don't know. I thought it was super unique.
Well, I mean, that reminds me of this place I got pulled up here. I get their streams a lot because Mr. Jeremy Riddle. Everybody knows Mr. Jeremy Riddle. And then the lighting design on their stage is also very simple. Yep. It's like, and I don't even know.
It looks like they just
they have a projection screen with just white lyrics. And it's like, hey, let's just light band members. We're not going to go crazy with color. Their mix sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And it's simple, So let's go back through here. Play a little bit for you guys.
Huge drum enclosure.
Yeah, I think I want to say this church was named like maybe a Calvary or some other type of church, and then I think they became their own thing. Yeah, and then Jeremy's looks like that's where his home church is.
Yep.
And the stream, the mix sounds really incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, anybody on this team, hey, give me a shout out if you want to do a tech tour or something like that. It'd be fun. But I like the simplicity.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's just kind of like a pendulum swing, like hey, let's make it colorful and flashy. Yeah, let's go simple, and then that gets boring. It's like, hey, let's make it colorful and flashy again. It just kind of just does that. But
yep.
Personally, I like it. I like it this way because that's where, again, at the church that I'm helping out at Rock Harbor here, I'm like, can we just I want to keep the same design of this traditional space. I just really want to make it just make it fresh, make it look like it wasn't painted 30 years ago. Like, let's actually paint it like now and make it look just up to date. But like the original architecture, it's great. It's timeless. That's kind of one of the things I like about churches. Is like it should be timeless. Like it should have that feeling of that to reflect the theology aspect of it as well.
Yeah. Love it.
Okay. There is a massive new Digico console that is now out. What is it called? The Quantum something.
The Quantum 852.
Digico Quantum 852. Okay, this is just fun. This is just kind of like nerd fest, right? For folks like us. 384 input channels. What in the world? I mean, this is going to be for this is like their new flagship console, and this is going to be for like massive theater, right?
An arena.
But I'm sure there is a production director at some big church out there who's like, you know what?
That's going to be the console.
Quantum. Yep. We need that Quantum 852. Not gonna reach enough people with the gospel if we don't have that Quantum 852.
Yeah, it's gnarly. This is crazy. And the amount of IO, I mean, expandability, like all the expansion cards that they have available is it's a little nuts. Like there's nothing you can't do with this console, which obviously reflects
192 aux buses.
just like it's just unreal. Oh,
Most churches don't even have 192 people in them.
right. Yep. I mean, these Digicos, they are
1,030 dynamic equalizers. Holy smokes!
Yeah.
That's gonna put F6 out of business.
right. I mean, it's ready for anything you want to throw at it. I think it's got waves, and obviously the stage racks that come with, or that you would correspond it with, are huge. They are just massive stage racks for IO, but lots of Dante integration. But this is the new Ferrari in the neighborhood in terms of tons of horsepower, and you live in a 45-mile-an-hour max, speed limit zone. So I don't know that.
All right, we're gonna stop talking about this Digico console, so none of you guys feel justified to actually go get it. So
Yep, that's right.
I'm telling you, don't buy this console.
Yep.
Gosh, I wonder if it's gonna be like 150 grand, maybe.
Oh man,
That'd actually be interesting to know what the price would be.
yeah, I can't imagine.
Digico Quantum 852 price. I'm sure this is a please call to talk to one of our sales reps.
Yep.
I'm not seeing any info on that yet, but I'm sure your integrator will be happy to let you know what the price is.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to know the markup on that.
Oh man,
crazy. Should we talk about the Planning Center Matrix real quick? The little update that PCO got.
Matrix Reloaded.
Yes.
I'm always surprised because I'm not I'm not like leading worship every single Sunday in planning services. I'm usually helping out as a volunteer. So I'm just not in it until the week to week like I used to be. So I'm always delighted when I hop into Planning Center. I'm like, oh man, this is great. If I were still a full-time worship leader, I wish I had this feature a long time ago. Yeah. So you guys could check it out, or just notice, let us know what features you like about Matrix and stuff. But it was a year ago; it had significant updates, right?
Right.
And then they kind of keep tweaking it now. I can't remember what were the specific ones that they just recently came out with.
So the ones that I saw that were significant were that you can actually save different matrices or matrices. So as opposed to just having one matrix of all your service types, you can actually now kind of break out the individual planning types and planning matrix. And then they added all this new kind of UI. So you've got different colored rows. You've got these different, you've got artwork in there. So it just looks a little bit different. And I think now it's more flexible where you can actually remove and reorder sections of it. Whereas before it was limited to whatever your plan layout was. And so it kind of gives you a lot more flexibility. And I think the last thing is when you're looking for a person, you can actually search for a person and it will show you all the different plans that they're scheduled in the matrix view. So it just gives you a little bit more control and awareness, I think, for kind of where your people are serving. And so, yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, it's almost like you can just do more of your service editing just within that matrix view.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be bouncing. Because I use matrix all the time.
Right.
When I'm planning, every single Sunday. It's such a helpful tool. I've seen other people use Excel sheets and stuff like that. I'm like, why are you doing that? Just use matrix, and it's so much. But it's actually nice. I guess I understand why they did that, because some of the limited capability it used to have. Now I feel like they've kind of made it its own powerful software that's maybe a Trello or a Airtable or something like that.
That's good.
Specifically for this purpose.
Yeah, I like how it looks like Aaron's joining us on the podcast below our pictures where you had that thumbnail.
Hey, Aaron.
Good.
Good old Aaron.
Aaron, come on the Churchfront podcast. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, dude, it was so fun. I visited there. If you guys are ever in Southern California, the Planning Center has a big old, it's like what you would picture a Google campus for their headquarters. I think you can just walk up during business hours and just hey, can I get a tour? And they'll usually be glad to do it. But it's kind of what you would think they are. It's I feel like I'm in Silicon Valley, even though it's not. It's in
Is it
San
Carlsbad or San
Diego.
Diego? Yeah.
Carlsbad, yeah, just north of San Diego. But
Killer.
it's a
Yeah.
good time.
Thanks, Planning Center, for continuing to improve your product. Love it.
Love it. Okay, let's talk about another cool tool that Adam actually brought up. Adam couldn't join us today, guys, because he had something last minute come up. But it's called Ableset, and I've got it right here. And this is a really cool piece of software. So what it does is it really can streamline the way that you interact with Ableton Live. Again, I wish I would have known about this a long time ago. I think it was actually relatively newer, but basically you run the app on an iPad or a phone, and it just makes you easily trigger songs in Ableton Live. So this, I don't know, this would be really cool, especially if I was like a music director taking more time building like some really intense Ableton projects, but then I wanted like a nice, easy user interface for like other musicians or volunteers on the team to like trigger songs or skip around songs. It's quite impressive. I like it. So check out Will Doggett's channel from Studio to Stage. I think I noticed a ton of tutorials he had on using this.
Yep.
But it's crazy because it like, look, the playhead's advancing and it's showing like where you are in the chorus section.
Yep.
So it's interesting. I didn't know Ableton like opened up its like API or whatever enough for other app developers to like build this type of thing.
Well,
but
and
they do.
Doesn't it at the top of the website, it says Ableset 2. So was there an Ableset version 1.0 that was, maybe it's been out for a while and we just haven't been using it or looking at it.
One's more. Ableset 2, like you can do things like lyrics and chords, playing on stuff. Create your own performance view. Split your set into multiple Ableton project files. Whoa. That is
very
fascinating.
Cool.
Whoa, and then it's like view the current state of your audio interface. That's cool.
Yep.
Create dynamic guide tracks. Oh, see, these are things that like, to me, when I'm navigating the like, do I want to use playback this week? Do I want to use something like Ableton? Ableset kind of seems to be a pretty big game changer of like maintaining that power and capability of Ableton.
Yep. But
then having some of these like hyper useful user interface things that like a playback has.
Yep.
Like that's pretty enticing.
Yeah, it's got like, I'm reading on their 2.0 release, which was a bit ago, but it's the version for or Ableset 2. It's got additional jump modes, which I'm imagining means like if you wanted that flexibility to skip around, it's got different ways you can do that. And this is really one of the things I read too, is that you don't have to create individual clips for your MIDI tracks. So without you can synchronize your lyrics and your songs without having to manually create clips for each line. So I just imagine a huge time saver.
Interesting. But it's not like it's syncing with ProPresenter. Like these are all just lyrics showing up in the Ableset, I think. Because you also remember, like, this is not just for worship. Like this is also for like other performers who, they just maybe like, say you're in a band that uses tracks.
Yep.
And you want to have like your lead vocalist could have like an iPad down on the floor in front of them to like, keep track of where they are in the songs with lyrics or something. I don't know. Like most professionals probably wouldn't need that, but that's where I'm like, it's not just so people aren't confused. When it says lyrics and chords, it looks similar to like the ProPresenter stage display, but I don't think that's what they're talking about here.
No. Yeah, we'll have to hit it up. We'll have to use it or find some people who are using it and see what their experience has been like. It looks really cool. $149 for the full version. You can do a free trial, or if you've already got Ableset 1, you can upgrade. I'm assuming there's like a discounted upgrade price, but not bad.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, man. Well, that's all I have for today. And lots of great tools out there, guys. I hope you found this helpful. We're going to keep doing this show about once per month or so. That's kind of a sustainable pace for us. And it's also kind of a sustainable way just to, I don't know, we want to overload you guys with videos. So the Churchfront Show is also going to be on the podcast, so you guys can listen to this in audio format. Just check out the links in the description. And I want to encourage you guys, check out Worship Ministry School if you want to work with our team We can even come out to your church and do a couple-day site visit. Of course, you get access to all the courses and all the good stuff that we provide through that program. So we'd love to connect with you there. Go to worshipministryschool.com/apply.
That's right.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.